Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
I ran across an interesting story on roadandtrack.com last night, and I used to write for roadandtrack.com, so I'm quite familiar with their work. Stephen with a PH, Stephen Rivers, wrote this article. Constable resigns over money grab speed camera program that issued 4,000 tickets in 2 weeks. Now, those numbers are staggering, 4,000 tickets in 2 weeks, but it turns out the tickets were bogus. And that really that really is the problem. So in his resignation letter, the Louisiana constable claimed the funds that he was trying to raise were meant to improve his office from a half-baked Mayberry operation. Now, I watch the Andy Griffith Show from time to time. It's actually on TV still. The Mayberry operation, although it's funny to watch, is actually pretty well run. They solve a lot of crimes. And they got that town nice and safe. So don't criticize it. But citizens often complain about speed traps and whether they're to raise money or to make us safer. But in West Baton Rouge Parish, Louisiana, a man behind a speed enforcement plot has admitted it was intended just to raise evidence for his organization, but then he resigned, and that's when he announced this. The man is now a former constable. In October of 2024, he began running a budget speed camera enforcement zone near a local school, according to WBRZ, which is ABC2. In this case, he had people with a radar gun-based camera system hide out and photograph alleged speeders as they went by the school. In 2 weeks, he issued over 4,000 citations to drivers, each at approximately $150, which is roughly $600,000 in revenue, which was meant to have been split between his office, the speed camera company, and the school district. But the problem is, the constable's office had no authority to issue the citations because the constable had not established a cooperative endeavor agreement with the school board as required by law. That's according to WBRZ. By late November, the local police department was putting out Facebook statements telling people not to pay the tickets. A Louisiana state senator then responded to that post saying, "I just got off the phone with the attorney general who has told me to inform all, do not pay this civil violation. If you did, we're working to see how you can get reimbursed." So in just a couple of days, the senator had gone as far as to call the ticketing method illegal. "I'm a huge supporter of law enforcement, but this is nothing but a money grab," he said to WBRZ. More surprising, the constable has now admitted that that's pretty much what was going on. In a letter back in March, but only recently revealed by the news, the constable wrote, "In an effort to evolve the office and position from a half-baked Mayberry operation into a functioning service entity that actually serves the community, the Ward 2 Justice of the Peace and I engaged with multiple entities to conduct traffic photo enforcement in an unincorporated school zone within the parish." He complained that, as a constable, his monthly stipend was just $380 and that he had to use his personal vehicle, weapon, and protective equipment, and said wanted the money to fund a full-time office, to procure items for the job, and to fund other projects. So the guy's a self-starter. He's looking around going, "I wish I had more stuff for my job." Well, maybe if my job had more money, I'll help my job get more money. I never expected or intended to get rich doing this, but I equally did not expect to have to dedicate so many personal resources to my own safety or ability to do this job. That's what he said. In addition, in his resignation letter, he claimed that the state attorney general's office knew about the plan and approved it. And he called the people who complained about it self-important, unaccountable, soundbite obsessed officials. At least now, none of them have to work together. But Stephen Rivers, good, I like that. At least now none of them have to work together. But the funny part about this is, of course, that he says that they knew about the plan and approved it. Did they do so in writing? Did they send you an email? Did they send you a letter? Do you have a piece of paper with words on it you can show us? Or are you going to say, oh, I talked to somebody and they told me verbally? Because I think before you go out and launch a program like this, where you're going to write all these tickets, 4,000 of them, in a way that's apparently contrary to the law normally, that if the AG says go ahead and do it, you should get that in writing. Now I am an attorney. I tend to view things like this pessimistically, meaning I look at something and go, what could go wrong? Where's my client going to get in trouble here? And so if this person had called me and said, hey, Steve, what do you think? They've told me I can go ahead and do it. Did you get that in writing? Because that would really go a long way towards helping your case. But the other problem, of course, is some of you caught this. The money was to be split 3 ways, and a third of that was going to go to the company making the photo camera, speed camera. The company makes the speed camera photo equipment was going to get a slice of that also. And I understand how this works. I understand this. Very, very expensive equipment. And a city, municipality, county, state, whoever wants to buy this equipment so it can be used to issue tickets, but they can't afford it. So the company that makes the equipment says, look, we'll give you the equipment and you just pay us out of the proceeds, which sounds like a good resolution, right? It's almost like buying something on time or layaway maybe, except that this is reverse because you get it first and you pay for it while you've got it, And people do this all the time where they buy something and they make payments, right? The problem I have with this, though, is that they're thinking that this thing is going to pay itself off. And if it's going to pay itself off, you suddenly are inclined to make it create more tickets rather than fewer tickets because you want to pay it off. And then, of course, once it's paid off, you keep making payments because, don't get me wrong, I've bought something before in my life and made payments on it at the point where I thought, I'm never going to pay this off. I've always managed. But I think many of these deals are, while you've got the equipment, you give us a slice for as long as you use it. And some people go, well, that's not bad either. Because really? Because they bought it outright with cash. Once they earned their money back, suddenly the profit margin would rise. So is that the best use of potential funds that they're raising? To say, no, we're going to give the manufacturer a slice for the entire life of this machine? That doesn't seem right to me. I'd be curious to see what kind of slice they were getting here. Is it literally a 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 slice, or how is it going to work? But again, this guy apparently was a constable, and the roles that are played by constables and sheriffs and police chiefs and so on, it varies wildly from area to area. As far as Michigan goes, I've never heard of constables here. We don't have parishes in that sense. And so what their different authority is, I'm not 100% certain, but it sounds like the constable in this case had less authority, but also had less budget because presumably they're thinking, well, he's not doing a whole lot, so we don't need to put up a lot of money to fund his office. So he thought, well, hey, how about if I raise a ton of money, show them how profitable this can be, and then maybe they'll let me buy stuff with that money so I don't have to dip into my own pocket to pay my expenses. And by the way, I feel for the guy in that sense. If he shows up for the job of constable and they say, by the way, you got to provide your own stuff and here's what you're getting paid and the stipend is almost nothing. But really, the correct answer is to say, I'm not sure this job is for me then. Maybe it's not. I'd really like to help you fight crime, but I can't afford it. I can't afford it. So anyway, it's a crazy story when the AG and other politicians take to Facebook to say, hey, if you got one of these tickets, don't pay it. They're illegal. You never hear that. You never hear that. So from roadtrack.com, and Stephen Rivers wrote that. It's a great article. Constable resigns over money grab speed camera program that issued 4,000 tickets in 2 weeks, but they're all no good. Questions or comments? Put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. To continue, you will need to insert another quarter.